Hello everybody, my name is Patricio and welcome to... Hey, what are you doing? Stop.
Stop! Hey guys, I asked you guys to give me some stories and boy did you give.
But for every well-written, gut-busting story, there's 5 comments like this.
Unfortunately, not every story can be included, so I'll just give my top 5. Alright, now let's see who won the $5 Amazon gift card. Wait, before I start.
I was taking a piss, then I closed my eyes to blink, then the piss took me. You're laughing. This man just got taken by the piss and you're laughing.
5th place goes to Tillium III with this story.
This story is pretty NSFW. Go ahead. I have outdoor cats that like to hunt and bring in whatever they kill. This has led to incidents where I wake up in the middle of the night to my cat smacking on rat flesh or finding severed organs with unidentifiable origins. So of course this happens one morning at like 2. I wake up to my cat losing his shit, turn on the lights, and see this huge ass rat just parked by the wall. My cat pounces and chases it into a crack between the wall and my bookshelf. At this point, I'm so tired that I just let them do their thing and flop back to bed.
The next few days, I can hear this rat squeaking from behind my bookshelf. I sometimes woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of scratching and squeaking, and my cats kept prowling around for the noise. I know it's awful, but I was just hoping the thing would die quick so I could pull its corpse out and toss it in the can rather than my cat chase it around and cause a ruckus.
After like 2 or 3 days, the squeaking becomes too much. It was like the telltale heart. I decide I'm just gonna lock my cat in my room, pull back the bookshelf, and have it hunt down the rat. When I pull back the shelf, there's a bunch of rat poop and puddles of piss, of course,
as well as the rat huddled in the back corner. There were also these little pink things everywhere, which I initially thought were pieces of gum or something gross that got stuck behind the bookshelf.
So they were baby rats. I picked them up with a fork and they twitched and whimpered and curled up. They hadn't been exposed to any light yet, so they were like ugly little mole rats. I was so shocked I gagged when I first noticed it. Keep in mind, I had work in an hour. I had no idea how to deal with the situation, especially since my cat wouldn't take a hint and ran away. In the end, I scooped up all these pink rat babies with the aforementioned fork, dropped them in an old Chinese food box, then ran outside and dumped them in a bush. As for the mama rat, I put on a glove, then went in carefully and snagged it by the tail. It whirled around in the air, dangling by its tail as I sprinted outside and tossed it in the bush with its babies. Then I washed my hands, burned the glove, and went to work. Mission success.
4th place goes to Base Jack with this story.
I did sports in high school. One kid on our team was a good athlete and all, but man was his common sense in this shitter. He was smart, took tons of AP and 5-point classes, so not dumb at all.
One day, a few of us huddled around this thing in the ground that looked like someone or some animal pooped on the field. This thing was long, beef, brown, and had some unknown looking chunks inside of it. Now, as we were all joking about someone at the school popping a squat and doing it, and this guy comes over and his first reaction was, "Ooh, free energy bar."
No hesitation, he just picks it up and eats it. Literally no response from the rest of us, and my god was he lucky that it was a Cliff Bar or some other chalky protein bar. But goddamn, he really just ate some day or 2 old protein bar that had been sitting in the sun on AstroTurf that has deer shit and used condoms on it.
I'm gonna live my life like that now.
Don't hesitate, just eat the shit.
3rd place goes to Bob Slayer with this story.
This happened in primary school and is one of my fondest memories. So me and a friend, Jack, were playing tennis at break. We had been going at it for a while and we decided it would be a lot more fun if we hit the ball as hard as possible at each other. Now it was a really windy day, so the ball was going everywhere. The rackets we were using were those crappy ones which were one color. I went to hit the ball as hard as possible and the racket flew out of my hand. It flew right at Jack and cut his left ear off in a very clean cut. Jack screamed. Yeah, Jack screamed. What the hell? Jack then called me an idiot. I had expected worse. Having not fully understood what had happened, I was also laughing a little. Then Jack, of course, had to go to the hospital and get it sewn back on. He has had an ear infection since. This was about 8 years ago. Only a couple weeks later, I slammed a gate on Jack and broke one of his fingers. Me and Jack were never really the best of friends after this. I do wonder why.
2nd place goes to Cthulhu Beast with this story.
This one is kind of long and seriously disgusting, but frankly one of the most intensely funny real stories I've ever heard. One of my coworkers used to work with the city of Atlanta on sewer-related stuff and got called to sit on a jury for a case involving his former employer. This was a lawsuit against an apartment building, a high-rise, for forcing sewer lines to route incorrectly, causing dangerous and disgusting conditions for residents. Here's how. The sewer line was originally meant to go directly under where the hotel sat. Instead, the hotel demanded that they route the line around the hotel, so they had to make 2 abrupt right angles in the line directly at the hotel. 2 manhole covers on that corner. Atlanta is infamous for some light street flooding during the rain. We have had many incidents in decades past of sewage flooding out onto the streets due to our new plumbing sitting on some really ancient plumbing. When it would rain hard enough to flood the street, the manhole covers on 2 corners would shoot up into the air from the pressure in these pipes. From this, some sewage would obviously get up into the street. Now, the stage has been set. A few residents started complaining about a bad smell in one of the elevators. The staff says a rat died there and they're cleaning it up. Come to find out, the stench is coming from the garage. Some people started noticing that the parking garage under the hotel will get some flood water when it rains bad, which of course includes some sewage water. A retired New York police officer prefers to move his vintage car out of the garage when it starts raining because no one likes shit in their tires. And moving it after it rains is awful because of the ankle-high shit water. A particularly bad storm comes in. Mr. X-Cop doesn't notice until it's really coming down. "Oh shit," he exclaims to himself. "My fucking car!" He runs down to the garage. It's already worse than he could have imagined. The shit is up to his knees. He wades over to the car. It's now up to his stomach. By the time he reaches the car, it'll be impossible to get in the car without ruining it. None of his clothes he's wearing will ever be worn again. The water level is rising and the cars are getting picked up around him. His car is now floating. The water is now well past his neck. The current is pulling him down to the underside of his car. With his arms, he's keeping the cars next to him apart. With his legs, he's pushing with all his might to avoid the most unpleasant drowning imaginable. The water level is too high. He is now completely underwater, completely shit out of luck. Suddenly, the floodgates on the garage burst open, spilling sewage and one poor old man out on the street. Miraculously, he is physically uninjured and does not suffer any infection following the incident. But that man will never be the same. Needless to say, the residents of the building won the lawsuit.
Just before first place is honorable mentions.
My turtle ran away. Growing up, I had a turtle as a pet. It would bask near the front window, which my mom took as the turtle being sad it wasn't outside. So one morning, she put the turtle outside, and we all went about our day. I came home from school, and the turtle was gone. I miss you, Orange Peel. There was this one time, more than a decade ago, when I was still 5 or 6, and I was at this family gathering somewhere far from home. I was playing with this little kid, who was African American. I promise this is important to the story. Who was there, and we started to play around like the average little kids at a party, running around through and under grown-ups and such. We were having a ton of fun when suddenly I was given a toy water gun. Me being a white-ass kid growing in the suburbs, and also because of the recent 2008 election, I started yelling, "I'm gonna get you, Obama." It's safe to say my parents were more than embarrassed that day. One time, my one dude friend and me went to the bathroom together during our drama club practice. He walked in, unzipped his fly in the middle of the urinal, saying he likes to use the middle one to assert dominance. I walk up next to him saying me too, and started pissing in the same urinal as we made eye contact to make sure the other wasn't looking. Then a custodian walked in to check why the lights were on after school, probably not knowing about our practice, and looked at us and just walked out.
At first place goes to Celeste Was Taken with this story.
One time, I went on a casual date with this dude I matched with on a dating app. Nothing fancy, basically just having lunch together during a break between classes. We chat for a bit, talk about our majors and some other bullshit, and he asks me what class I'd come there from. I answer and ask him back. He says, "Oh, nothing. I don't have any classes on whatever day of the week it was, I don't remember." So I point to his backpack and half-jokingly ask why he'd brought it with him then. This was my first mistake. Without saying a word, he opens it up, and the only thing inside is an iPad, which he takes out and puts on the table between us. He then launched into this really long rant about the new iOS updates and like totally obscure little new features and design changes and stuff, and his opinion on all of them. It was a little jarring, but I like hearing people talk about their interests and politely listened on for a while. Then, after about 10 minutes of that, he suddenly stopped himself and asked me, "Wait, do you use Apple?" I responded, no, I personally prefer Android." This was my second mistake. I don't know how to fully describe his reaction to hearing that, but a look of pure anger and disgust flashed over his face for a second or two before he caught himself and tried hiding his reaction. From his expression, you would have thought I just bit off a baby squirrel's head in front of him or something like that. I tried to keep talking a bit, but after seeing that I faltered and kind of just trailed off into awkward silence. After staring me down for a bit, this dude apparently decided to pretend he hadn't heard that and went right back into his Apple rant without addressing whatever the fuck that had been. Kept talking about Apple and Apple products for the next fucking hour. The only time he even slowed down for a minute was like 40 minutes in, when suddenly he changed topic and asked me if I had any hobbies. And then halfway through the first sentence of my answer, he cut me off just to keep talking about Apple as if he never stopped. I had been super uncomfortable ever since that Android incident, but I was too awkward and scared of being rude to just fucking dip like I should have. I probably would have been caught in that awful limbo for the rest of the time, except right around the hour mark on his rant, he kind of just came to a stop out of nowhere and started to play fucking Plants vs. Zombies on the iPad right in front of him. From that point on, he refused to take his eyes off the screen, and when I finally got over my awkwardness
awkwardness enough to make up an excuse and leave. He didn't say anything, just grunted at me while continuing to play. It wasn't quite over yet, because right as I was about to get out the front door, he finally looks up from that damn iPad just long enough to call after me and say those fateful words. "Want to go back to your dormant?" I don't know how to respond and just left without answering.
It was very hard to pick a winner, you guys, but this one takes it. Thank you everybody for participating. This has been a blast. I'd like to do it again one day, but with a higher prize pool.
But before I go, shout out to Sapphire Dragon 793, Teresian, Fireline 348, Prior Expression 412, Thick Dad, Loganator 007, and Jorpheus. These guys had some great stories but couldn't make it in the video.
Goodbye, and thank you everybody.